guys, we are here to chat all about hormones and weight loss and high-fat eating, and I have a super awesome guest with me today. This is so exciting.
Hi everyone. It's nice to see you. Thanks, Leanne, for having me today.
Yeah, totally. So this is Amber.
Hi, I'm Amber from Amber Approved. I'm here in Calgary, and I'm a holistic nutritionist who specializes in gluten-free, dairy-free, refined, sugar-free living. As well as a big supporter of helping people through emotional eating and binge eating and kind of all the stuff that we've been through ourselves in the past. Hey?
Yeah, and she knows a lot about weight loss and hormones everything. So I'm super happy to have you on our channel show. I never know what to call it.
All of the above.
And for those of you that are new, my name is Leanne, and I am the face behind healthfulpursuit.com and holistic nutritionist as well, specializing in high-fat eating and ketogenic awesomeness with a little bit of vegan, a little bit of emotional eating, all kind of sprinkled in. So where I don't know things, Amber makes up for the awesomeness. And we were having coffee a couple months ago now, and we were just chatting about this topic back and forth for a long time, and then we said we better just like do this and record it and see what happens. So let's get right to it, because we have like 50,000 questions.
Which is fantastic. It's great to see people wanting to learn a little bit more for their own well-being.
Totally. I 100% agree with you. So we paneled our communities, both of us, and we came up with a bunch of questions about hormones and weight loss and high-fat eating and a bunch of different things. So they're on my handy-dandy iPad. I'm just going to read them out, and we're going to hash it out and try to come up with a solution for almost everything, or at least a couple steps that people can do to get started. So the first question is, how do I start healthy weight loss when I'm eating healthy but not losing weight, or my weight is going up? That's frustrating. The first thing I would say is ditch your scale.
I completely smash it. Find a way that you want to destroy that thing, whether it's with a sledgehammer, you drive over it, you drop it off of a big balcony. Of course, make sure there's no one below, but get rid of it, because we both went through this of really letting that number dictate happiness and how good you feel about yourself, and it ruins you.
It totally does. And you actually did a Smash the Scale event where people ruined their scales. Yeah. And so that can be a huge thing. For me, I've started weight training, and I do still have a scale because I like to know, and so I jump on it like once a month. Yeah. And my weight's gone up by quite a bit. Yeah, muscle. But you know what? I feel stronger and tighter and more amazing, so you can't let that dictate anything. So if you're going to keep the scale, hide it, or put it somewhere, or just trash it and wait till you go to the doctor or something. Yeah, I would say that's a big one.
Totally. And just to add on to that, weighing yourself once a month, I think, is healthy, right? Yeah. Just the very minimum, and if you can't keep it to that, then all the above, smash it, give it to your neighbor or something. Totally. And then go over and visit them
Hold on to this for me, and don't use it.
Exactly. I think that's so important, and I think another thing to do is really evaluate just simple lifestyle things like, are you getting enough sleep?
Huge!
Because if we're not getting enough sleep,
that's a big
that can
one.
completely hinder weight loss, because we're stressing our bodies out, and then we're pushing them via exercise.
Yeah. So, and something that I see a lot of is when people want to lose weight, they reduce their amount of calories by a lot. Yes. And what's really interesting about our metabolism, it's kind of cool, but also not so cool. So say Leanne burns 2,000 calories a day, and then she decides she wants to lose weight, so she goes down to 1,500 calories a day. Our metabolism knows what we're doing, and so it will down-regulate to that 1,500 calories. So you'll be losing weight, and all of a sudden you'll hit a plateau, you'll start gaining weight, and that's just because your metabolism is saying, oh, well, we're only getting 1,500 calories, so we're just going to run everything on 1,500 calories. And then you lower it even more, and you lower it even more. Like, I've seen people eating 700-800 calories a day, and then you're not healing, you're not sleeping well, and the last thing your body's wanting to do is lose weight. Exactly. So even though you might be eating healthy, like all the awesome things in the world, if you're not eating enough.
Yep. It totally counteracts. But that's the problem, is we've been raised in a society to think, eat less, exercise more. Yeah. Right? So it's really kind of unraveling everything we've been taught and relearning how to take care of ourselves. take care of ourselves. Right?
Yeah.
So that's another great factor. Another one, drink enough water.
Yeah.
How many people still don't even drink water, right?
Yeah.
It's so important for cell hydration, elimination, every function in the body, really, right? So people that are dehydrated, weight loss makes it more difficult when we...
Totally. And if you hate water, like I did at one point, even sometimes I'll brew a little bit of herbal tea in the morning and just add like a quarter of a cup to my water. And I, like, seriously, here's my mason jar of water. And I'll just add a little bit of tea to that just to give it like something.
Oh, for sure.
And it doesn't need to be like those drops of sugar-free grossness.
Oh, yeah,
like, no, don't even go there.
Because that doesn't even help weight loss either.
No.
Right?
No. So the next one is, how does inflammation hinder weight loss?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
So
huge.
There's many answers to that question. I mean, in the first place, if there's inflammation going on, we can be carrying around water retention, and we can be carrying around anywhere from 5 to 10 what seems like pounds, but it's really that inflammation.
Yeah, water weight is a big one. I know that with my community, with the carb ups that we've been doing, when you're in a state of nutritional ketosis, where you're eating a lot of fat, low carbohydrate, to boost your hormones, you're eating carbohydrates every once in a while to kind of boost that, help you lose weight. And carbs hold a lot of water.
Yes.
So if you're eating carbohydrates on a daily basis and not doing a low carb, high fat eating style, you're holding, I think it's for every 1 gram of carbohydrate, there's 4 grams of water that you're retaining.
That's a lot. That is a lot.
That's a lot of water.
Especially if most people are consuming, 250, 300 plus grams of carbs a day.
Yeah.
Right? Probably a lot of people a lot more.
Totally. And that's why when you go low carb, that first 10-ish pounds is water weight, because you're getting rid of that water. So just an inflammation from a water perspective and the amount that you're carrying, that's a huge deal.
Yeah. And another big thing I find with people right now is food intolerances, food sensitivities, right? Create a lot of inflammation in the body.
Yeah.
So that can be a hindrance. So can you figure out a way to find out if you're gluten intolerant, dairy intolerant, egg intolerant, nut intolerant, whatever it is, right? Identifying those food sensitivities makes a huge difference, because then people can eliminate them for a little while, let the body calm down, and then all of a sudden they're like, wow, I lost 10 pounds or 15 pounds. And again, is that inflammation.
Yeah. Well, I know for my sister, she was allergic to gluten and ate it, and then she found out, but she lost a lot of weight just by going gluten-free. It was crazy. Yeah. And now she maintains such a beautiful figure. I think it's just this natural thing that her body has gotten into because she's eliminated the thing that was making her inflamed. And when your digestion is inflamed, the last thing your body's thinking is, let's lose weight.
Exactly. And I think that's a really important point to bring up is, if the body is in any state of stress, whether it's inflammation or food allergies or calorie restriction, we must ask what is going on so that we can correct it, so that we can get the body back into a priority of weight loss. Because it will make it a last priority if there are more important things going on. And
100%.
I think, and if people understand that, they'll be less hard on themselves for, why isn't the scale moving? Why am I not losing weight, right? Because we can just start this whole kind of negative self-talk and really want to give up if we don't see the scale move even in a few weeks.
Yeah. Amen. Okay. Third question. I don't know how to stop binge eating. Oh, yeah. It's overwhelming, and where do I even start to make changes? That's a big thing, and it goes so much deeper than just binge eating. A lot of it is that self-sabotaging behavior.
Yes.
I know even for myself, there's days where I wake up and I'm like, my abs are showing. And then I will do stuff to ruin that. Yeah. Like I will just eat too much, and then it's that self-sabotaging. Yeah. So really, although binge eating, it could be because we are lacking certain nutrients, like magnesium is a really big one. Yeah. I find if people are always eating chocolate and just like, chocolate and nuts.
Chocolate.
Like, give me more chocolate, give me more nuts. Usually that's because they need some magnesium.
Exactly.
But if you don't love yourself and you don't love your body, and it goes deeper than just like, I need some magnesium in my life, until we fix that issue, binging is going to be a constant problem for you.
Well, exactly. And to add on to that, I think, again, we grew up in a society where we learn how, if I do good on a test, I'm going to eat. If I do bad on a test, I'm going to eat. If happy, sad, whatever the time is, we really associate food with every part of our lives. So for people that are having issues with binge eating, I always say to them as a first step, identify all the reasons why you're doing it. right? Because if you can start to see, wow, I'm not just eating for physical hunger. Yeah, there is that lack of self-love component. So I am self-sabotaging, but I'm also eating because I'm bored. I have a habit of eating while I'm watching TV, right? All these different things. If people can start to identify those, then they can start baby stepping towards calling themselves out and saying, okay, why do I want to eat right now? Is it a physical hunger? Or is it an emotional hunger or a boredom? Or it's Easter, so I should go out and buy that whole bag of Easter chocolate eggs and eat them, because that's what I always do, right?
Yeah.
Because we tend to associate with old habits and old memories.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's definitely, there's a lot around the binge eating, but
they're huge. And also, too, something that I've been working on myself is planning dates and activities that don't surround food.
Ah, that's brilliant. Yeah.
Like, hey, you know, one of my girlfriends, like, let's go horseback riding. Or let's go for a walk. Like, let's not meet up for coffee or not go for lunch or, you know, do activities that don't revolve around food. Because I find oftentimes, like, whenever you get together with people, it's always about food. And so how can we separate that so we can learn that we can have a good time with our friends, enjoy each other's company, or even family members, and not have it be about food all the time.
That's a really, really, really great tip. And I think, the more we can start to step away from all of that surrounding food, obsessing about food, the more we start to break the habit slowly of the binging.
Yeah, I love creating that list. Yeah. That is an awesome tip. Okay, getting into chia seeds. This is a good question. Does eating chia interrupt or prevent the absorption of vitamins? And if so, for approximately how long?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Wow. For me, I'd say, it could depend on the state of your digestive system.
Yeah.
Because I even remember when I tried to be a vegan back in the day when I was hunting for the diet that was going to fix my binge eating issues. So I was like, I'm going to be a vegan. And so I was eating chia seeds and chia, powder like no tomorrow in all my smoothies and all my meals. And I tore my digestive tract up so much. It was like, someone described it to me as, it's like you're rubbing sandpaper on a wound over and over, because every time I ate them, I would just feel so in pain. And then knowing that my digestion was not working properly and that I wasn't absorbing properly, perhaps that could interfere with then me absorbing other nutrients.
Yeah, totally. That's a good point.
I think it depends on the state of your digestion.
I always say to my clients, if you rub the food on your wrist and it's scratchy, it's going to do the same thing inside your body.
That's
like
a really
rice
good
cakes.
Analogy. Oh, yes.
Yes. I don't want that to touch any part of my insides ever. Have fun rubbing that on your skin. Yeah. I think, like with supplements, for myself, something that I've learned is that fat-soluble vitamins, so you have like your A, D, E, and K, they're best taken with, say, if you do a blended coffee in the morning, like a Rocket Fuel latte, awesome to take your fat-soluble vitamins then, because you're eating lots of fats, you're having your fat-soluble vitamins, awesome. Yeah. Probiotics, always on an empty stomach.
Yes, I completely agree. Right before bed, usually you haven't eaten for a few hours.
Totally, yeah. For me, it's like right when I wake up, I have my probiotic, have like a ton of water, and then wait a couple hours. But it's interesting, have you noticed that if you take a probiotic with hot tea, it makes you really sick?
Really?
Oh my gosh, never do it.
Before. Okay, I will never do that.
Oh, it's horrendous. It's just not a good situation. Yeah, okay, so I hope that answers your question about the chia seeds. What if you have too much estrogen? Would flax seed increase it?
That is a really good question.
Because I eat a lot of flax.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of, we were even chatting about that before with the estrogen, and you said it was, for you, it's helping.
Oh man, I have flax oil. I have so much flax. Every day I'm eating like a quarter cup of flax because my naturopath said, because I have low estrogen, I want to increase my estrogen. So I've been eating a ton of flax. Yeah. Now studies have shown kind of wishy-washy back and forth on the whole flax thing. Some people are saying that there's these receptors in your body, and once flaxseed is converted in your body by your healthy bacteria, so if you have healthy bacteria, it will help convert it, that these estrogen sites can either be improved upon by eating flax, or it can actually decrease or increase your estrogen. So some studies are saying if you have a high estrogen, it'll make it lower, and if you have low estrogen, it'll make it higher. But then when you look at things like the cancer board of whoever and cancer this, cancer that, it says just don't do it because it's kind of inconclusive and we don't know.
Yeah. And I think for this one, perhaps maybe, you know, if someone has high estrogen, err on the side of caution. Don't be drinking flax milk, eating flaxseed, using flax oil. Maybe, you know, if you sprinkle a couple teaspoons or something in your salad, that's safe.
Yeah.
But maybe you don't overdo it. And then for the people that have low estrogen, kind of maybe flax go to town a bit more. Flax it up. I like that.
Town. Flax it up. Hey, that's a good one.
I like that. Hashtag flax it up.
Hashtag flax it up. So like my flax focaccia muffins that are literally just like eggs, oil, water, flax. Awesome. But we're saying, you know, for cancer, maybe
play it safe.
Yeah, play it safe. Maybe don't do it. And so to that question, there's another question that's just recently I learned that I have estrogen receptive breast cancer, and like you, I'm trying to eat right for my hormones. In your opinion, are my flax days over? And do you think this will still, if I make your flax focaccia muffin by subbing flax seeds with approximately chia seed meal, will it work? So we've already kind of touched on the cancer bit. But for the flaxseed focaccia, yeah, totally, you can make it with chia. Probably not 100% chia, but I think the recipe calls for like 2 cups of flax. You could probably reduce it to 1 cup of flax and maybe do 1/3 of a cup to 2/3 of a cup of chia, because chia is really dense.
Completely.
When you cook with it, I'm pretty sure if you did all chia, it would be like a soccer ball or maybe lacrosse ball. Those are harder, right? I never did sports. So, this is a good one, and maybe you have some insight. Of course you have insight. Does collagen or gelatin affect a woman's hormones so as to delay menses or increase estrogen?
Wow, that's a really good question.
Because if you have low estrogen, like as we age, our collagen breaks down in our body.
Right.
So by eating collagen, would we be increasing our estrogen? I'm not sure it's a two-way street.
Yeah,
back and forth.
I kind of agree with you on that one. Because essentially, yes, if we are breaking it down, I don't foresee that potentially it would build it up.
No, so hashtag collagen it up as well. Yeah, helps get rid of like lines and crazy stuff. Exactly. Your hair is gonna be gorgeous.
Yeah.
Except when I'm doing this no shampoo thing lately, which
really?
is why my hair is kind of crazy.
And what are you using?
Okay, so totally off topic. Manduka honey as the shampoo and apple cider vinegar as my conditioner.
No way.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, so totally not related at all. But yeah, it makes your hair better. Yeah. Apparently, we'll see. Maybe give it a couple months. The next question is, how common is it for women to stop menstruating after going off birth control pill? And why does this happen? And how long is too long to go without a cycle?
I think everyone's a little bit different, because I've had clients and different people that have gone off birth control pill, cycle gets more regulated, they are losing weight, healthy weight, their inflammation goes down, their PMS is eliminated. But then I have the opposite, where some people will go off of birth control and their skin's breaking out, they're gaining weight, they're moody, their hormones are all over the place. So I really think part of that comes down to where are your hormones at when you're coming off of birth control.
And how long have you been on birth control?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I was on birth control for like over 10 years. Yeah. And I wasn't the healthiest weight when I was on birth control either.
Right.
So I would say if your cycle hasn't returned, like, I don't know, 6 months?
Yeah, I'd say definitely don't wait any more than 6 months.
Yeah, then I would say, like, you should probably not do what I did and ignore the problem for 6 years.
Yes.
And maybe get on it.
Yeah.
Like, talk to a naturopath, get an endocrinologist.
Yeah. Check out your hormones and see what's going on and see why. Another thing to add to that is if someone is going off birth control but then they're also exercising a lot and losing a lot of weight quickly, that could also be another contributor to why has my cycle disappeared if the progesterone gets too low, right? So kind of just be observing always, did I do anything else or change anything else as well when I went off the birth control, just to help, put the pieces of the puzzle together.
Okay, next question. What can women in this position do to actively work toward regaining their cycle, and how can a high-fat, low-carb diet help? I wasn't sure on what kind of position. I'm going to guess that it's maybe you've lost your period and you're trying to regain your cycle, and how can a high-carb, low-fat not high carb, high fat, low carb diet help? So there's a couple pieces here. The first one is if you have blood sugar irregularities, that can really cause some issues with your cycle. Yes. Like PCOS and blood sugar are like married together. Yeah. And also, too, if you're working out, like we talked on that, too, like if you're doing the hardcore cardio and you're trying to regain your cycle, you're probably just hurting yourself.
And it's true, because I can completely relate to that, because twice when my weight dropped really low from exercising a lot, I probably was not eating enough at the time, but totally lost the cycle, and you almost just feel like you lose a piece of you. I don't know. It's hard to describe, but you just don't feel like yourself, right?
You don't feel like a woman.
No.
It's not right.
And, but it was largely because my blood sugar was way off. My cortisol was through the roof, right? So, and then just losing the weight that quickly, it just wasn't healthy for my body. So, I think it's also important that as we are losing weight to really monitor our cycle and see, okay, is it getting lighter every month?
How's my PMS?
Right? Exactly. Look at all these
cramping.
Things. Yeah, because to me, I'd rather, keep on that 5 pounds or 10 pounds and have a good, healthy cycle than work my butt off to lose it and I look perfect, but then my hormones aren't working properly.
Well, totally. And hormone and weight gain, weight loss is a big thing. There's going to come a time, like if your cycle isn't regular or your hormones are out of whack, it'll be really impossible to lose weight, gain weight. Like your body gets stuck in this space. Yes. So another part to your question was, how can a high fat, low carb eating style work for when you're in this type of situation? So if you're like me and your hormones were practically non-existent, pretty dead flat, cholesterol is a huge thing. Cholesterol is a precursor of, I think, almost every single hormone in your body. So if your cholesterol is too low, then how are you going to make hormones?
It's not really going to happen.
Totally. And a high-fat eating style helps to healthfully increase your cholesterol. Another piece that it does is it naturally removes all of those sugary, garbagey gunk things that make your blood sugar all weird. There's a lot of fermented foods, which helps with your cycle and hormones. And so in a way, it's a very healing diet because you're approaching, you're eating a lot of vegetables, a lot of healthy fats, and there's really no room for garbage.
Exactly. And to add to that, I think, too, being that if our hormones are way off, we need to insulate our body, right, and help to support our nervous system. So high fats are really good for calming all of that down. Totally. And cortisol, too, right? It's just... we still, again, live in a society where people are so afraid to jump on the high-fat bandwagon sometimes, but we need those good quality fats. They're so important, especially when it comes to hormones, like you said, because if cholesterol's too low, how do we... then we're not winning.
No winning action happening. Next question is, I have always suffered with a lot of anxiety, and I'm afraid that this is partly affecting my lack of menstruation, not to mention wreaking havoc on my health and hormones in other ways. I have adrenal fatigue and inflammation as well. Is a high-fat, low-carb diet the way to go? And I really love eating this way. It's awesome that you love eating this way. I think, if anything, if you found something that you feel good on... stick with it. To just stick with it. Don't listen to other people saying you have to do this, that, and the other thing. And I'll never be that person that says you got to do this because it's the only thing that's going to work. You have to do what's right for you.
And to add to that, I think if you have anxiety going on, you have inflammation, and you have high cortisol, do you have a yeast issue? Because I see those three together all the time. And if there's a yeast issue, an imbalance of unhealthy bacteria in the large intestine, that can definitely contribute to anxiety. That happened to me, actually, and I had such bad anxiety for such a long time. And that was also partially due to my high cortisol. So I think get that checked out as well. That can be easily assessed through someone like either of us or a naturopathic doctor, just to make sure. And then you can eliminate that and see if your inflammation calms down, your cortisol calms down, and your anxiety. I actually have some people right now that their anxiety is through the roof, but we're going through this protocol of eliminating the yeast, and they feel so much better. Their mood is so balanced.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. And also, too, if you eat too high fat and you have like candida or overgrowth issues, it can actually feed the candida. Yeah. I was reading something on that the other day that I know when I was going through my candida protocol, I found when I ate too much fat, I went crazy. Yeah. And that's just because you're creating too many ketones, and ketones are fuel to candida just like sugar is. So if that's an issue for you, it's so interesting.
It's such a sneak, that yeast. It's so sneaky and smart.
It's so true. Yeah. And even if you don't have yeast problems, but you're still having anxiety, sugar is a big one. Completely. And I actually wrote about this for Amber's cool magazine that she does. And it was all about sugar stress and how to know when sugar is working against us and causing stress in our lives. Because when we eat sugar, it increases our cortisol, and cortisol increases our sugar. Yep. And so because cortisol is there so we can run away from the tiger. Yep. And so when our body thinks we're supposed to be running away from a tiger, all the glucose and everything gets all ready to just like make us run. Yeah. Well, that's a problem if we're sitting in our van in rush hour and we're completely stressed out and not running anywhere.
Exactly, which is almost all of us in today's society. So that's a really good point about blood sugar and the sugar and anxiety. That's a big one.
Reducing
and then
sugar.
Another one too is making sure you're eating enough throughout the day, because people that are eating breakfast and then not eating again till dinner, it's a great way to create anxiety because you're stressing your body out, cortisol, blood sugar, right?
I'm so happy that you mentioned that, because my community drinks like blended coffees and then we intermittent fast and stuff like that. But for women, it's so important, and I talk about this with my Rocket Fuel Latte approach. Yeah. Women can't go, not a lot of women can go really long periods of time without eating because it sends the wrong messages to our hormones. Right. And our hormones need to feel safe and secure and awesome. And if we're not eating, then our hormones get all wacky. So what does that mean for somebody that wants to practice intermittent fasting? Always... never leave a 12-hour window or more in between the last time that you ate. So say I ate at 9 p.m., say I had dinner at 9 p.m., I would have my blended coffee at 9 a.m. the following day. And I always include just a little bit of carbs, so like hemp seeds or chia seeds if you can do them. Sometimes I'll do a little cacao powder and then a little bit of protein, so 10 grams or less. And that's what I talk about with my Rocket Fuel Lattes. And that sends a signal to all of our hormones saying, yo, dude, we're safe.
You can
it's
breathe.
All good. You can breathe. You don't need to increase cortisol. Because I find if you just do a blended coffee with just fat, your body thinks that you're still fasting, which is cool, but it sends that cortisol, like we were talking about that before recording. It's just like, I need to eat and shaky and like stressed out, and we don't want that.
Oh, completely. Well, and it's even like people that will work out and then not eat for 2 or 3 hours. That's a great way to totally, send the cortisol way up and the blood sugar way off.
And the cortisol will eat through all the muscles that you just created.
Exactly. You worked so hard to pump those big weights. And
you're
right?
Yeah.
So
not a good situation.
Of really important little things.
I know, it all adds up. Yes. That's why we're here.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So we kind of talked about this, but simple tips to removing the sugar out of your life.
That is a really great question, and I feel like finally sugar is getting some heat put on it, which is great to see, and more people are starting to write blogs and share information of how to quit sugar, how to cut it out. So for me, I always look at shifting from refined sugars to natural sweeteners first, because some people, for them to go cold turkey, it just totally doesn't work, and then there you are finding yourself knee deep in a bag of sugar. So, using things like coconut palm sugar instead of refined sugar, real honey, like white, thick stuff that you have to scoop out of a jar.
The stuff I wash my hair with. Same stuff. That's what you want. Yeah, and just baby steps, because I know, I was addicted to sugar. There was a time, I had a Costco membership when I moved out of my house when I was 16 years old, and I would go to Costco and I would buy a bag of jujubes, the Costco bag of jujubes, and that's what I would eat for the whole week. That was my meal with maybe some potatoes and ketchup. I really liked that combination. To go from that to quitting sugar immediately, it would be almost impossible. So it's those baby steps. Yeah. And, once you've done the honey and the palm sugar, maybe switching it. How do you feel about stevia?
Stevia, I'm partial, because the problem is you see all of these brands coming out now that have erythritol, natural flavors, and all these other added ingredients. I think if it's white, leave it on the shelf, because stevia is a green plant that's dried and blended into a powder. It should not be white. Yeah. So I think in small bits, a little bit's okay, but totally. I still not a big believer in just having one go-to for everything.
Yeah, switch it up. Totally. I know that some people can do xylitol, and something that I learned about xylitol is that our bodies actually have an enzyme in it to break down xylitol, but a lot of us don't make it because we're not eating it on a daily basis. So when you first start with xylitol, do it very, very slowly and make sure it's from birch in North America and not corn from China, because that can make a huge difference. But like little bits at a time and work your way up. Yeah. But that's a huge one for sugar. And fruit. Yes. I'm not a huge advocate of fruit.
Me either.
And maybe, great!
In fact, I had a fructose sensitivity for a while, so I just kind of shied away and have bits of berries here and there, but same as you, when I start eating fruit, I get so hungry and
hungover. I always feel hungover the next day.
That's a really good point.
Just like, what is happening with my life? Yeah. And do you find that you have that same reaction with honey because it is fructose?
Sometimes, yes. Yeah. So that's something that I do use rarely, or I'll just toss it in granola bars or other recipes. But I always tell people, maybe use an alternative. But yeah, the fructose definitely.
Fructose, bad news.
It's a little jittery. Makes me a little jittery. Yeah. Even just little bits.
Totally. So. Yeah. I couldn't even. Well, I was washing my hair the other day and a bit of honey got into my mouth and I was like, oh, sweet. I'll use it. It's so sweet. I'll use it on my hair and it helps balance that healthy bacteria on your body. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not a big fan. But it's baby steps. That's exactly. A big thing.
For sure. And I'd rather see someone eat some honey than that refined sugar. And I think, the other thing to go along with it too is making sure you are getting enough sleep, making sure you are drinking enough water, because if we're tired, we're more high risk to crave sugar or crave carbs, right? And, making sure we are getting enough proteins and fats, especially good fats, to regulate the blood sugar. And then for those people that, it's a habitual thing. It's like, well, I grew up eating dessert every night at dinner. Well, then we have some, repatterning to do with our habits in the brain, right?
And a lot of the stuff we talked about binging could also apply there.
Oh, completely.
Something that I've been doing and that I recommend all my clients do, especially if you're interested in eating more high fat, is oftentimes when we crave that sugar, that same cortisol release that we were talking about, fats can help mitigate that pretty darn quickly. If I'm craving sugar, jujube, gummy things, because I still do. There's days where I'm like, just put the sugar in my mouth. Just because it's more of that habitual, emotional thing. Then I'll grab, if I'm doing butter that day, I don't do grass-fed butter all that often because of dairy allergy and stuff, but I'll slice off a bit of butter cold and I'll eat it, or a thing of nut butter, or just something to help satiate that feeling. And I'm saying, within, 30 seconds, I notice a difference. That fat just calms you down, sends those signals dude, chill out, it's okay. And I feel so much better.
Something else that I find really useful for sugar cravings, and I was desperate when I was trying to find something when I was a sugar addict too, is L-glutamine powder.
Yeah,
it's amazing for sugar cravings. Amazing, because it's the only amino acid that crosses the blood-brain barrier, and it literally, the minute you mix it in water and drink it, it shuts off the signal that makes you crave sugar.
Shut it down.
It's powerful. Yeah, it saved me through some of the nights when I just would feel so vulnerable. If I don't get my L-glutamine, I am driving to the store right now and I'm buying a basket of sugar, right? Totally. It's so good in it. I find it helps with anxiety. It helps with, strengthening the intestinal lining. It's a very powerful little amino acid.
It's so true. And even too, people with eating disorders or recovering binge eating and stuff like that, it sends that same signal chill out on the binge. So that can be really helpful as well. Good call. Okay. Oh, this is a good question. Everything I've read about adrenal fatigue warns against intermittent fasting and intense exercise. I personally do not like to snack and prefer larger meals spaced between 4 to 5 hours apart. If I have high cortisol, should I stop exercising? And is the whole don't go more than 3 hours without eating just BS that we've been fed?
That's a really good question.
We might disagree on this one. I'm really interested to hear. Okay, so intermittent fasting. Yeah. We've already talked about, for women, I don't recommend going more than 12 hours without at least having that blended coffee with a little bit of carbohydrates, a little bit of protein, and I talk about that with my rocket fuel latte approach. But say we have that latte, and then a couple hours later you have dinner, and then following a high-fat eating style, generally you're not hungry for another 6 to 8 hours. Yeah.
That is true.
So, like, is that messing up with our cortisol? Is that sending the wrong signals? Like, we talked about this a little bit before, in that when our cortisol, when your cortisol is higher,
yes,
what kind of things happen?
Anxiety, just heavy feeling in the chest, just feeling really fatigued. Yeah. Just like you need to take a nap. And getting, more hungry feeling, I find. Those are some of the things that happen to me. How about you?
Yeah, same. Yeah. I get jittery. Like, my thing is just like...
yeah, completely. Yeah.
So, if you feel like that, maybe you should eat.
Yes, even if it's something small, right? Yeah. Have something. And this is where we really need to, instead of, like, screw all the things you hear and all the advice, right? Yeah. Listen to your body. Your body will tell you. So, if you start getting those symptoms... have something.
Hemp seeds. Hemp hearts, I keep a little bag with me all the time. And I gotta say, like, if I'm like, that's why I put it in my Rocket Fuel latte, specifically, because there's an equal amount of fiber to carbohydrates, so it's not gonna make your blood sugar go crazy. And there's good fats, there's protein, like, it's such a solid, good, balanced food. And just that little bit. And if that's not enough, eat. Like, I never say, intermittent fast and you can only eat every 8 hours and, like, you gotta follow these rules. If it's not working for you, then switch it up. Don't intermittent fast. You'll still benefit from all the high-fat awesomeness without intermittent fasting if it's just not right.
Exactly. And to add to that, I think, the other thing, too, is if you have high cortisol and you're naturally the type of person that likes to have a bigger meal, well, maybe that does work better for you, right? Yeah. Maybe it is you're eating, every 3 or 4 hours and you're fine with that. But again, to listen to your body. And then why else may your cortisol be high, right? Yeah. What else is triggering that? And on the exercise end of things, I mean, that is kind of a catch-22, because I remember when I had super high cortisol and I would exercise, I would feel, there were some days where I'd feel really good and some days where I weren't, but it kept going up, up, up. So finally I was like, you know what, I surrender. I'm going to totally pull back from my crazy exercising, because once I started using a heart rate monitor and working with a great trainer, I actually learned that I was working out wrong for the last 6 years.
What? Yeah. What were you doing wrong?
I was pushing myself far too hard every workout for like the whole hour. I was essentially in the E5 zone, which is like super crazy high heart rate zone.
Cardio.
For the hour. Cardio, crazy weights, just pushing too hard.
Yeah.
Like 4 or 5 days a week. So that helped to push my cortisol even higher.
Yeah.
So I really think, get a heart rate monitor so that you can, see where you're at and then you won't overdo it. So then, maybe you can do little short workouts or add some yoga in or some restorative.
High intensity interval training.
Yeah, HIIT is awesome. Don't run a marathon. Don't run for 10 hours a day.
Says the girl that did half marathons like crazy. I totally agree. With my cardio, like, I do cardio after all of my heavy lifting sessions, but it's not like I see women on the treadmill just like going for an hour. That is not me. Yeah. I go all out for 30 seconds and then I rest for 3 to 4 minutes until my body is like super chill. I check my heart. I don't have a heart rate monitor. I really need one, but I'm like, okay, we're totally chill. Yeah. Let's do it again.
Yeah.
Because that steady state cardio, it's not helping you lose weight.
No.
It's sending all the wrong signals. And I find when I do push myself too hard, I have a really hard time sleeping that night.
Yeah, me too. And then the jitter, like, that comes back totally.
So if you're jittery, eat. Don't force yourself to intermittent fast. Yeah. And, like, maybe look at your workout regime and kind of switch it around.
Yeah, and get a heart rate monitor.
Yeah.
Seriously, it blows my mind. Just because you can see essentially where you're at, and if you are overdoing it, you can pull back a little bit.
Awesome.
So yes,
totally. Because I find I always push myself so hard, and don't. It's actually hurting you to do that. Like, just chill out.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is kind of in line with the whole exercise thing. I feel guilty when I don't exercise often, especially because as a teenager I was pretty obsessed about it. But lately my body hasn't felt up to it. I see you posting about pretty intense workouts, and I wonder if this is recommended for somebody in the beginning stage of their recovery. I'm thinking like with hormones, eating, all that stuff. And is this something you should do after healing takes place? I mean, we kind of touched on this. Like, I wouldn't go to the gym. Like, I go to the gym about 4 to 5 times a week.
Yeah.
But I'm taking a lot of rest. Like, I'll lift really heavy, and then I'll kind of, like, chill out. check my Instagram, take a picture.
I think it's so important to really rest between your reps, like 4 or 5 minutes.
Totally.
Because, again, you calm your heart rate down, and then you allow for your body to kind of rebuild and get ready to do that next set, let the lactic acid calm down, right?
Totally.
So I think that's really important.
And the human growth hormone, that's why I started doing all this, because when I got tested with my hormones, it's like human growth hormone for me was super low. And so my naturopath was saying, like, how you do that is working out. And then up until that point, I was doing yoga because my endocrinologist said, like, don't do anything. Like, gain a bunch of weight to try to increase your hormones, gain a ton of weight, and go on hormone replacement therapy and just do chill yoga. But the problem was I was just fat then and felt like garbage because I wasn't moving. And so I wanted to increase my human growth hormone and all my hormones and help with my bone density and all that, but without going pedal to the metal. So I think it can be done. It's just, like, if you're the type of person who you push yourself really hard, perhaps you need, like, a trainer to be there and say, like, dude, chill out.
Yeah, because that's the thing is when you have a really good trainer that assesses you first, runs you with your heart rate monitor to see where your ideal zones are. All these really important things, like, don't just be like, hey, I want this trainer, and then they're throwing you into, like, do 50 lunges and 50 squats and sprint on the treadmill for 10 minutes. Like, make sure you get someone that is very thorough with you and explain to them, you know, if there's hormone imbalances or things like that going on, so they can cater the program to you. Because if they don't know these things and or they're not asking about them, it's probably not the right fit for you, right? So, being able to understand your body and share and then get what's ideal for you. And then on the whole, feeling guilty about not working out, well, that's something you need to work on crushing, because part of that is self-love. And if we're constantly feeling all this guilt, we're stressing our body out, right? In a negative way. Cortisol! So that goes up again, and then here we are in the same vicious cycle, right? So don't be hard on yourself when it comes to working out. If you go hard one week and you got 5 days and the next week you got 1 day or no days, don't be hard on yourself. Be like, you know what? It's all good. Next week I'm going to go 3 days. Make it a reasonable goal. And then if you go more, great. If you don't, no big deal.
You know what? Sometimes when I get all stressed out about that stuff, I'm like, but I have an amazing family that loves me. And I have great dogs that love me. I have a great life. I have a great job. Like,
is the world really going to end if I don't go to the gym this week?
No, not really.
And I mean... And find, you know, good, happy, positive, mindful stress relievers. So if the gym is one of them for you, do that. If walking outside is that, do that. Or yoga, or maybe...
Or laying in the sun in the grass.
That's a great one.
I've been doing that a lot. Like, the sun, we're in my office right now, and in the morning, the sun comes in and hits me in the face. And up until a couple weeks ago, I'd be like, the sun. But now, I just, like, close my eyes and wait for the sun to pass the window. And it's just, it feels so good. So good. Like, just maybe it's 20 minutes until it passes, and just taking that minute or those couple minutes just to soak up the sun literally can go such a huge way in your whole process. So that's a big one.
So don't be so hard on yourself.
No, life is too short to be obsessed about that stuff. Okay. What are some key things that have helped both of you in your journey to hormone health? Being new to the high-fat, low-carb eating style can be tricky at times, and I often feel like I might be doing it wrong. And I think that goes for anyone who feels that way. Do you have any specific tips, food ideas, or pieces of advice for newbies that are, you know, trying to be awesome, high-fat, low-carb? That's a good question.
Yeah, it is. So I say, you know, some things to look at is the biggest thing, learn how to listen to your body. Are you tired? Are you dealing with, you know, high cortisol? Is your thyroid functioning properly? Do you have high estrogen or low estrogen, right? You know, kind of get those things looked at, first of all, and listen. If you are jittery, things like that, eat.
And a big one is sometimes when I'm overwhelmed and kind of stressed out and I know I should eat, I don't know what to eat. And so I've started, and I've been doing this probably for a couple of years now, where I just stand in the kitchen. You know, if you are in your kitchen or maybe you're out, just like standing or sitting in a quiet place, close your eyes and breathe. Because something that I learned is that you can't make decisions. Like, the part of your brain that makes decisions isn't active, like cannot work when we're stressed out.
Totally.
So if you're trying to listen to your body and you're stressed out and you're trying to decide, like, should I have the flax focaccia muffin with a salad or a big burger, and you can't decide which one is best, you need to calm down because you won't make a good choice for yourself and your hormones. And your hormones will tell you what they need. Oh, like, completely. Your whole body does. Yeah. So it's just about removing that stress, breathe, like, count your breaths for 10, close your eyes, just chill out, and then you'll be able to make a choice. Yeah. So, yeah, I hope that answers your question. Okay, the next one is, I understand that every woman is an individual, but how long does it typically take to start seeing positive changes in hormones? It can be tempting to quit after a month or two because it doesn't seem like it's working.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
And as we both know, hormones take some time.
Yeah, they do.
So patience is a great thing to learn how to bring into practice.
Yeah.
Because it could be, I'd say, minimum a few months to years. Totally. Depending on how imbalanced things are.
When I started eating high-fat, low-carb, I took a bunch of blood tests and urine tests and saliva, just a bunch of tests. And then I waited 6 months. Like, I fully committed. I didn't check anything. Like, I just said, I'm going to do this for 6 months and then do a checkup. And I'll link to the video where I talk about what 6 months of high-fat eating did to my body, but I noticed some pretty amazing changes. Yeah. Like, I was able to actually lose weight, which I hadn't been able to for a long time, and I was feeling better, but it's always nice to have, like, a test that shows, like, here's what happened. So I would say, like, anything less than 6 months, I mean, your body takes some time to transition.
Oh, for sure. And you don't want to set yourself up again to get frustrated and kind of throw the towel in and just kind of go back to your old habits. Because even with cortisol, like, mine was over 1,000, and it took probably about 2.5 years to get it back down to a nice, healthy, range.
Yeah.
But yeah, learning and understanding that, it can take less time to throw it off and a little bit more to bring it back.
Yeah, that's always the way of it, right? You really gotta want it.
Well, that, and too, I feel like sometimes these things happen because our body's trying to say, slow down, I need you to take care of me. And so then we learn how to really take care of ourselves and listen to our bodies when we need to mind and mend our hormones.
And if your hormones that are out of whack or things like estrogen and stuff like that, or maybe you're dealing with infertility, have you heard of Chaste Tree?
Yes.
Holy Toledo, that stuff is awesome for, like, PMS and I'm using it for estrogen, but it's like the woman's herb.
Yep, it's really good for menopause too, for women going through hot flashes and all sorts of stuff like that. It is great. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. And to go back to the other question too, like you were asking about what sorts of foods and stuff like that, I'm going to link out to a bunch of videos below this video on other videos that I've made, and I'll link all over the place with different things to kind of show you how to eat high fat, low carb for hormones, and to kind of get into that too. So I'll link up to that. Okay, this is the last question. Oh my gosh, we're totally getting through all of them. This is exciting. Every test that I've done by my conventional doctors has come back normal.
Story of our lives.
So for years, I've had the feeling that something is not right with my health, and obviously it isn't. And it's frustrating that my blood tests never show it. My gyno says that my hormone levels are all within normal range. How is it possible if I'm not menstruating? Get a new doctor.
I completely agree with you on that one. Because if they're not willing to dig deeper for you, this is your body and your health, and it's totally 100% your responsibility to speak up and make a choice of, okay, this person is not willing to help me, so get a new doctor. Maybe seek out a naturopathic doctor or someone in the natural health field that can really and will take action for you and dig until they can help you to identify what's going on.
You want a team. Like, you want a person that's on your side. And oftentimes my clients will say, well, my doctor didn't want to order this test because he says all this stuff.
Oh my gosh, I've had that happen so many times. Oh, well, this test isn't important. Like cortisol. What? So many saying, oh, yeah, this isn't important.
Or like your normal, and to bring everything into perspective, when I work with my naturopath and she sees my tests that are normal, Like, the normal range is a huge range.
Yes.
A huge range. Yeah. And if you wait till it's that crazy out of range, like, you're in the danger zone.
Yeah, exactly.
Major. So you need to have somebody that's on your side, that's willing to do tests, the type of tests that you want, like, to kind of show the profile. Like, your blood may look totally ace. Yeah. But if you get a urine analysis, like, Meridian Labs does amazing urine analysis for hormones. And if you tie them together with your blood and your urine, and it's a 24-hour collection, it will show what hormones are not converting. Like, maybe you start off with a ton in your blood, but then there's, like, nothing happening in your urine. And so it gives that full picture. So without those two tests, or even doing saliva so you can really get the big picture, you're never really going to know what's going on.
Yeah. So I agree. Reach out. Get someone different, get another natural healthcare practitioner's perspective, like a naturopath.
Totally.
So that they'll do all those tests for you, no questions asked, and kind of, give you the real answers that you need.
Because that's why we're all here, is to make our bodies better, and not even better, like look better, but just work for better, us.
Yeah, and be healthy.
Get connected to that truth that's inside, and, when we know what foods work good for us and what don't, like, that's a huge powerful thing when you know exactly what you need to be healthy. And it just takes, like, always trust your gut instinct, even if you don't want to do it. And
it's always right.
It's always right. And I know that when I don't listen to it, like, there's that little voice that says, like, maybe, Leanne, you shouldn't have this. And I'm like, screw it, I'm going to have it anyway.
Regret kicks in.
Like, immediately. I'm like, what? Why? Why did I do that? And that's that self-sabotaging behavior and everything that we talked about today. Yeah. So, oh my gosh, we totally did it.
We did awesome.
Pounded that topic.
Amazing.
I am exhausted. I need some water.
Fun.
My cortisol. I need some hemp seeds. Like, that was just crazy. So thank you so much, Amber, for being on our channel. And I'm so excited for people to chat about this with us. And so let's chat about it in the comments and get the conversation going. And if you'd like Amber to come back,
I'd love to come back.
Then say that too, because that would be awesome. Okay, thanks guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Have a good weekend. Bye.